What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Crowded Lake, and today I'm gonna be doing something that I would like to see more on the internet that I haven't, so why not I just do it? Cats the musical. It is my second favorite musical of all time. It is iconic, it is amazing, it is Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. Now, I really love Cats. It is an exploration of these silly little guys, and they're competing to die, and they're all really silly. They're little silly billies, and they're really good dancers, and they go about their day with fantastic music, and I love them so much. I love Cats because they have a character for everyone. Like, by the end, you will find someone to be attached to if you are a human being, because that's how human beings work. There's just so much variety, and I love it all. With that being said, in 2019, we got an abomination. Cats the movie. I have many qualms about this. A lot of the basic qualms a lot of movie reviewers and critics have already gone into about the animation, the pacing, the celebrities that they got to be in the movie. I have yet to see a video, although, talking about the movie from a fan's perspective, taking into the account a bunch of the fan theories, the lore, looking at the movie from the perspective of someone who already loves the musical. For reference, I'll be using the 1998 recorded version of the show, since Andrew Lloyd Webber went on record saying that that was the definitive version of Cats, and so it's widely accessible, and it's apparently the definitive version, which means it's probably a good thing to go off of, just in general, for Cats. Looking at Cats 2019 from a fan's perspective, I'm excited. I'm also excited to see how much I could get away with putting in this video without getting copyright claimed. So yeah, this is gonna be fun. Let's watch Cats. Right away, we meet Victoria, which in the original, she was an ensemble cat who was a fantastic dancer. She has her own little arc throughout it, through her dancing. She starts out, she has this solo during Jellicles Ball, and then later on, not that much later on, but later on, she has this duet with Play-Doh. And that is meant to be seen as a coming-of-age thing. She's seen as a kitten. She is one of the younger cats in the tribe, and so we get to see her overarching coming-of-age sexual exploration through her dancing. And in this movie, they use her as a main character, a character to take the audience and have us experience the show through her eyes. She's new to this world, just like we are. They did this because in the 1998 movie, or at least I could assume that this is the reason, in the 1998 movie, Victoria is the first one to go and touch Grizabella. We're gonna get to touching Grizabella later. And yes, take that clip out of context. The significance of this moment is not because it is Victoria. Her little arc is really not that important. In fact, it's not important at all. And this moment is not important because Victoria is the one touching Grizabella. It's important because someone is touching Grizabella and no one is stopping her. Throughout the show, many kittens have tried to touch Grizabella because they don't get why she's being exiled. And they don't get to because the elders scoop them out of the way. And so Victoria gets to touch her without being stopped. And that's like the cool razzle-dazzle part. So they're making her the main character because of that moment, I'm presuming, except that doesn't make sense.
You know to go to the heavy side layer, because Jellicles can and Jellicles do.
I want to point something out real quick. So you can't go far into this movie before discussing the CGI first. It became notorious at the time. This was a lot of people's last movies they saw in theaters before COVID. And shit show, you know. Most people were like, it's the visual effects, it's so uncanny, it looks so bad. I want to go over why it looks bad and actually what they're doing right. Because they are doing one thing right, and I do want to compliment it. Because there's not many things that are done right in this movie, so we gotta take what we're given. The looks, the problem is human. Now, in the 98 version, yes, they're humans, obviously. That's what actors are, humans. The thing that the costume department does To make them less human and more cutesy cat though, is make them floofy. They're floofy boys. Look at Monkeystrap with all the little fluffs out to the side. All of their wigs come down to like their chins to make a big floof, so they're big and floofy. Their bodies have leg warmers and arm warmers, and Mungo Jerry has the tank top he likes stretching. They have these little things to add definers that aren't just body. And even then, the costumes, even for the ones that are just body, have like stripes and have painted different colors that don't just make it a silhouette of a human body, but make it colorful and yeehaw. If they just added more fluff and colors to these cats instead of trying to make them look realistic, then I think they would look better. The 98 version also goes into this uncanny territory. Look at the twins, Tantomile and Coracopat. They have the bald going on, and they are some of the ugliest, creepiest looking cats in the fucking show because the flat heads. The same goes for Cassandra and Exotica. They have the flat heads. They ugly. They uncanny because they don't have the little fluffs that Rum Tum Tugger and Skimble Shanks and Old Deuteronomy have coming out the side of their heads that make them look more cat and less human. Like, these guys are creepy as fuck. And this is how everyone in this musical looks, and that's not good. That's not good at all. But now I'd like to discuss the one thing this movie does right, and that is the animation on the ears and tail. The animations on the ears and tails are very expressive, and I do appreciate that from the animation team. For the rest of them, I know that their time was cut short for animating this, and they were animating up to 2 weeks before the release date of this movie. To my knowledge, I don't remember where I heard that from, so if I'm misspeaking, I apologize. But for what it's worth, the ears and tails are very expressive, and I really appreciate that. Like just now, when the tails like danced together and they went up one by one, we see a lot of this tail and ear dancing within the Jellicle ball too. They are very expressive, and if we had the technology to give actors animatronic tails and ears on a live stage, I think that would improve the show as well, as long as it's done well. I really love how the ears and tail move with the music and act along with the facial expressions. It enhances the performance, and I love that. Funny thing about that part, that high C was originally in the 98 version sung by Jenny Dots, or at least her actor. I wonder why they didn't have Jenny Dots sing it this time. I'm so curious. Call me Rum Tum Tugger, cause man, am I one curious cat. I find this part interesting because they recorded all of the vocals live on set with no backing track. If you'd like more information on that, look at the Sideways video. I'll link it in the iCard. Sideways points out all of the musical flaws with this movie, and there is a lot of them, but because they're recording live on set, there are a lot of times where you could just hear Monkeystrap over everyone, because Monkeystrap is the protector, he's the leader, here he's the narrator within this first number especially, but throughout the whole show. And so the camera keeps being really close by him, so you're hearing just like this blast of Monkeystrap's harmony and the melody floating off in the distance. And I find that very interesting because it's a little weird. I didn't realize that part was there. Mr. Mistopheles is trying so freaking hard to get Victoria's attention. So him in the background, and magical cats, that's iconic. It's so funny because this entire movie plays Mr. Mistopheles as this little shy boy. He's so shy and quirky when, like, sure, he was very silent in the 98 version. The difference came from his abilities and his confidence. Sure, Mr. Mistopheles was shy, and he was still a kitten, and so he rose up when it was time to sing about Jenny Dots, but at the same time, he was still a very competent cat. He was great with his magic. He brought old Duke back. He showed off while doing it. He does magic throughout the show, like lift the lid of the car thing to help Jenny Anydots out. He is more than capable and competent, especially in his dancing. If you get cast as Mr. Mistopheles, I better not hear you doubt your dancing abilities once, because it takes a literal magician in the dance department to play Mr. Mistopheles. And they just play him like a bumbling idiot in this movie. He's so shy and quirky and incapable, and he just wants the girl and nim and nim and nim and nim. I only have so much hair to push behind my ear. Say more with that tail. See, they're all running away because Macavity. But if they're accepting this new person in and they're trying to invite her in, of course they don't know if she's safe, even though they all saw her get thrown out in a bag and they saved her from the bag. I gotta assume that she's not involved with Macavity, so why does no one pull her with them when they see Macavity? That's out of character for Monkoostrap as the protector. In the 98 version, every single time there is a Macavity threat or a Macavity scare, Monkoostrap, even if everyone else hides, he's the one to stay out and be like, I am protecting with my sexy dancer legs. Oh, those legs. I love that YouTube compilation that's just Monkoostrap's legs. My favorite video on YouTube. Work, work, work. In this version, not only does he not protect Victoria, but he also runs away. That is the most out-of-character Monkoostrap I've ever seen. I'm not blaming the actor. I'm sure this was the director's fault. And Monkoostrap was just doing as he was told. But no, it's still disgusting and I hate it. In this version specifically, this is out of character for Mr. Mistopheles. In the original, this is in character. He's still a part of the Kittens, he would go hide, all of that. He's not equipped to go fight Macavity or deal with him in any capacity. But in this version, of course, he's still shy and incompetent, and so he would actually never talk to Macavity, actually. But this version of Mistopheles having this weird boy crush on Victoria, you'd think that he'd try to be like, hold on, we're in danger, let's go, Victoria. But instead he's just like, oh no, bye bitch, and runs off, which is not cool.
To the ball. I wouldn't if I were you. Could get dangerous. You know, they say Macavity will win this year.
I have a problem with this too. Who would have thought? In the original show, there are 3 songs that make up the intro sequence to the show. Jellicle songs for Jellicle cats, the naming of the cats, and the invitation to the Jellicle ball. Jellicle songs for Jellicle cats is what we just watched. They sing about how cool it is to be a Jellicle and how all cats are Jellicle cats and stuff like that. But what they cut out were the 2 songs following that, the naming of the cats and the invitation to the Jellicle ball. The naming of the cats is important because it explains why all these cats have keyboard smashes as names, which is just never brought up in this version. They expect you to just go along with it, which if this was the typical theater crowd, that would be expected. Like, oh yeah, it's theater, it's whimsy. But as a movie that works less, because these are moviegoers who are looking for movie qualities and not theatergoers who are strictly looking for theater qualities. They want to know why this bitch's name is Mr. Mistopheles and why it sounds like an anxiety medication. Also in naming of the cats, they talk about what a Jellicle is, because Asparagus in that song goes, oh, you guys don't know what a Jellicle cat is? And then Monkoostrap goes, you guys don't know what a Jellicle cat is? And then the entire ensemble's like, you don't know what a Jellicle cat is? You fucking dunce! Anyway, so then they explain what a Jellicle cat is. And then they go into the invitation to the Jellicle ball, where they explain what the Jellicle ball is. When Monkoostrap freaking melts into himself to be like, then waiting up there, it's the heaviside layer. And they talk about what the Jellicle ball is, its purpose, what the Jellicle choice is, what the heaviside layer is, what the point of all of this is. These 3 opening songs are integral to the plot because they explain what the story is. Now, one of the biggest, if not the biggest complaint about Cats the Musical as a whole is that it has no plot. Yes, it does. Everything has a plot. All a plot is a sequence of events. You think Cats has no story. And yes, it does. It is laid out within the first 3 songs. They explain they're Jellicle cats, what a Jellicle cat is, how they get their names, what the Jellicle ball is, why they're at the Jellicle ball, and then they have the Jellicle ball for the rest of the musical. So it does have a story, just you weren't listening during the first 3 numbers. And it is because of all this lore that they cram into the first 3 numbers why they're integral. And so in this scene, when Macavity walks up to Victoria and he's like, you go into the ball, I hear Macavity's gonna win this year. Sure, they gave Macavity the motivation of wanting to be the Jellicle choice. He just was evil about it compared to the other cats, whatever. My problem from this scene is, he's going to the ball, Macavity's gonna win. In the context of this movie, what ball? Win what? We have not learned what the Jellicle ball is yet. We have not learned what the Jellicle choice is, and that it's something to win. What Macavity is saying, we have no clue what he's talking about, because they have not explained any of this shit.
The naming of cats is a different...
I'm just gonna come out and say it because it's gonna become clearly obvious throughout this entire time. Monkoostrap is my favorite character. Yes, who would have guessed? And I love this little moment that I can't even say that the ensemble actors are half-assing it. The only people half-assing it are the big named actors like James Corden and the girl from Pitch Perfect. Clearly they're half-assing it, but these unknown people, they are working it. If this was a better movie, they would be so good. And I love this little moment of Monkoostrap shooing them off like, yeah, get off of her. Clearly she's scared, you fucking bitches. I associate this moment akin to that moment during Grisabella's number, where Bombalurina and Demeter are singing about Grisabella, and Monkoostrap is kind of looming over her, ready to separate a cat if they come too close, and being protective over both Grisabella and his own tribe. And Bitchy Girl comes up and she poses dramatically and then walks past Monkoostrap shimmering, and I'm like, and that's the vibe this clip gave me.
Magical cats! Jellicle cats come out tonight. Jellicle cats come one from all. The Jellicle moon is shining bright. Jellicle cats with Jellicle ball. Jellicle cats come out tonight. Jellicles come to the door. Jellicle ball.
Firstly, that look that Monkoostrap gave was freaking incredible. He looked so done with his shit. That's crazy. Secondly, this is not my Mistopheles. That was so clumsy. This is the same cat that did this. I'm not gonna show you the whole thing because yes, this is 25 consecutive pirouettes. We're gonna be here for a while if we sit through all of it. Do you think a cat that can do 25 consecutive pirouettes would fall off of a fairly flat surface that is not moving and is perfectly suitable to stand on? Yeah, no, that's stupid. Oh my gosh, I just realized they have toes. They have human toes. They didn't put paws on their feet. They're literally just toes. Holy shit, they got toes.
Who will it be?
I'm so glad that Victoria got all of this lore dumping after she had the meeting with Macavity. Why couldn't they reverse it? It would have not been that hard to have all the lore and then have Macavity come. Because Macavity watched as Victoria got dropped off and got told what a Jellicle is, and that Jellicles can and Jellicles do. So he knew that she had no clue what the ball was, or what a Jellicle choice was, and so now it's being explained to her after she was harassed by Macavity. It would have made so much more sense if he did that after. He knows she has no clue what any of that is, so why would he even try to go up to Victoria and harass her, being like, you know, they say Macavity's gonna win this year. She doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about. She really doesn't.
When the day's hustle and bustle is done.
I would like to go over this shit, and this will be the only time I'm pausing during Gumby Cat, because this is the most talked about number in terms of this show, so there's not much more that I can add that other people hasn't said already, except for the fact that the girl from Rebel Wilson, that's her name, Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson has no grip on who Jenny Anydots is as a character, which would be like, well, duh, this is Cats 2019, none of them know what the fuck they're doing. Jenny Anydots' character is supposed to be this nurturing mother type who is strict but well-meaning as she tames cockroaches and mice. This one doesn't do that. This one, as also brought up in the Sideways video, is singing the harmony and not the melody, which is another reason why the music is off and not just the fact that Rebel Wilson cannot keep time. And it's really funny because her and James Corden went to some kind of award ceremony and were like, we know better than anyone else that movies need good special effects, even though special effects are such a minuscule part of it. And a good chunk of why people didn't like Cats was because of their acting, not the CGI. You guys can't act. You two specifically. And it's funny you're blaming the CGI when it's you guys who can't act. Fun fact.
Get out of this kitchen now! Let's dance! Curious cat.
I'm just gonna come out and say it right now. Jason Derulo actually does a good job as Rum Tum Tugger. He is one of the A-listers that don't fuck everything up. I do wish, just for comedic effect, when he jumped as he was midair, he went, Jason Derulo. I know he's not Jason Derulo, and he's Rum Tum Tugger, but man, would that be funny.
You can dance how he dances, too. Let me see. See.
See, in the original, Jenny Anydots has this giant tap number, and also is a dignified human being and would have no reason to be jealous of Tugger, who in the 98 version is her not inferior, but like, she is his superior, so like, it's just an age thing. And even then, Tugger has respect for the elders. He's just a curious cat. Also, I am probably the only person ever to think this ever, but this movie's already fucked up as it is, and so not much would make it worse. From 2014 to 2016, there was this character of Rum Tum Tugger, a characterization that was more rap and hip-hop. He is known as Rap Tugger or Hip-Hop Tugger, or within the fandom, Street Cat Tugger. His entire number goes from the rock and roll-esque number we know it as, when Rum Tum Tugger was based on Freddie Mercury, into being a stylized rap number with a rap verse and a hip-hop dance break. The person who played Hip-Hop Tugger did a very good job with what he was given, and the reason it only lasted from 2014 to 2016 is because it got so much backlash from fans that Andrew Lloyd Webber switched it back to Rock and Roll Tugger, Freddie Mercury Tugger, Original Tugger by 2017. 2016, 2017, depending on the production. That being said, I think that number would have been very funny and very cool in this scenario. I could see Jason Derulo playing Street Cat Tugger, and I know I'm the only person thinking this, because people are pissed about Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser's number, which they took the 81 version instead of the 83 version that they used for the 98 movie version. And so people are like, that's not Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser, this is in a 3/4 time signature, and the one from the movie has some bouts of 7/8, which you know it does, but it did use the original track. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong in any way for using whatever version of Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser, because they butchered their characters anyway, regardless, because they are no longer acrobatic cats. I don't know. Also, I do realize that everyone would be pissed if they changed Tugger's song, and that's probably a big reason why they didn't do it. But I would not put it past Tom to be like, ah yes, Hip-Hop Tugger, let's go. The Rum-Tum Tugger is a hetero cat. That's something that also needs to be brought up. The most popular ship within the Cats fandom is Tugstopheles, a ship between the Rum-Tum Tugger and Mr. Mistopheles. And though for the most part this isn't like in cement canon because Andrew Lloyd Webber really loves queerbaiting the heck out of his characters, this has been confirmed on a few occasions with, well, firstly, just look at them. Secondly, in, I believe, the 2017 or 2018 version of the West End production, Mistopheles and Rum-Tum Tugger do kiss. And we're gonna get more into their homosexuality when we get to Mistopheles' number, because yes, but I find it funny that they are trying so desperately to rid of any traces of queerness within Rum-Tum Tugger, even though he was originally based on Freddie Mercury, who was bi and dated men that actually looked like him, and I find that really funny, because if I was Freddie Mercury, I would also be my type. In this version, they kept Grisabella's outfit true to the 98 version, which is one of the things they should have changed, honestly. In the 98 version, Grisabella's outfit is the regular cat leotard, and over it, a black sparkly dress, and over it, a tattered, worn-down cat fur-like coat. This is because she used to be, in her prime, this amazing cat with a lot of things going on, and she was fantastic, and she was great. She was the glamour cat, glamorous, but then she fell for whatever reason. If you would like to hear my theory on why Grisabella was exiled from the Jellicles tribe, click the iCard, because I made a theory video about it. And no, it's not because she was a prostitute. I don't know why you think that. In the stage production, this is done to show that she used to be glamorous, but then over time, she's gotten raggedy and old and has been taking care of herself and all of that jazz. It doesn't work within this context because it's not a stage costume. They had the technology to make her fur tattered and worn and maybe show signs that she used to be like a great performer or a great whatever. It doesn't work in this context because she's just wearing a nice ass dress under a raggedy ass coat in this millions of dollar budget movie where they had the money to do something better than just have her wear a really nice dress and over it a really bad coat. Yeah, Mocha Strap, shut them down. Yes, you're so slay.
Who was she?
She used to be the star of the Windmill. And she went with McCavity.
No, she lives on the wasteland.
What is the Windmill? I could only assume it's like a fancy place to be, but we're never exposed to this place, so how are we supposed to know? We still don't really know McCavity at this point, except for that he wants to win, and he's magical, and he's a little bit creepy, and people ran away from him. So, like, why does her going with McCavity matter? Most people who go to McCavity do it out of necessity, and I don't mean they need to, I mean like he hypnotizes them or kidnaps them. Honestly, these cats are so fucking stupid. I would presume that Grisabella got kidnapped and people thought she ran away with him. She was having a great life, apparently. She had no reason to go with McCavity willingly, according to the show. They try to give it reason, except it's the dumbest reason ever, actually. Like, the whole, he kidnaps people. Throughout the whole movie, he's kidnapping people. You see him kidnapping people, and you're just like, oh yeah, Grisabella went with him. Are you sure about that? You sure she wasn't kidnapped? Or catnapped? Because that seems like a more reasonable explanation.
Good evening, all.
Fuck this.
Oh no.
Oh, and Mocha Strap immediately nuzzles him. That's so cute, actually.
Oh, you look absolutely
But also,
starving.
F. James
You can't
Corden.
attend the ball on an empty stomach.
So you're hoping to be chosen?
Yeah, he wants to be reborn as a thin cat so he can get fat all over again.
Okay, to explain some historical context, these poems were written at a time when your body image reflected your wealth. This took place in a time when if you were skinny, that meant you had no money because you didn't have enough money to eat. And the bigger you are, shown how much money you have because you had the money to eat. And so in the 98 version, and in basically every other version of Busterford Jones, he is this basically icon to all of these cats. Like, wow, look at how much money and wealth you have because you're able to eat so good. And Munkustrap makes sure he's treated right and salutes him and sets him out a hat to sit on and dusts it off. And they treat him like royalty because he basically is. In this one, they're all making fun of him for his size, which is, hey, 1, gross, 2, the opposite of Bustopher Jones's character. There's the reason he's the cat in white spats. He's fancy, he's regal, he's upright. He is seen as a figure to these cats. And this entire number is people making fun of his weight and him feeling self-conscious about his weight. You want to know the best production for Bustopher Jones' body yaddy yaddy love? That would be the 2024 PAC NYC Cats The Jellicle Ball. I saw this interview with the people who played McCavity and Bustopher, and I didn't get to see it myself, sadly, but Bustopher's number was like, this drag category is body, and it's just working, and like, I love it, and that's the energy that Bustopher gives without being as direct as the PAC NYC version. Like all things, Cats 2019 ruined that. Whoopsie doodles.
You haven't eaten for days.
Why is Bustopher sticking around and listening to McCavity's manipulation? Why is no one going to help Bustopher? Because once again, he's supposed to be a respected figure. And yes, in the 98 version, there was a McCavity scare after Bustopher's number, which eventually turns into Mungo, Jerry, and Ripple Teaser's number and ends up not being real. But still, it's a McCavity scare. And they help escort Bustopher out. Why is no one helping him? They're supposed to be all part of the Jellicles. I hate it. I hate everything all the time. Went through the entire number, not a single stunt, not a single flip. They spent the entire time tearing everything apart. Even though Mungo, Jerry, and Rumple Teaser's whole thing is like thievery and stealing. And yes, they do break things along the way, but I wouldn't say they do it on purpose. They do brag about it happening in the number, but I say they're bragging about it to cover up the fact that it was a mistake. And it's characterized as like cheeky. This one is characterized as we're little terrorists and we're gonna make it everyone's problem, and ew.
Don't worry, stay there.
They play this like a big action sequence, but realistically, what is a dog going to do with them? 1, this dog lives in the house, so clearly this dog is used to cats since it lives in the same house as Mungo, Jerry, and Rumple Teaser. And you can't say like, oh, well maybe Mungo and Jerry and Rumple Teaser don't live in Victoria Grove and that is merely their center of operation, as they say, but they live somewhere else. Well then why do they have collars? They have to live somewhere, and if they know this house so well and are able to go about it, I'm assuming they're living there. Plus, they literally say that the owners are like, the family will say, it's that horrible cat. The family will say, now which was which cat? Like, so the family knows the cats exist because they're talking about Mungo, Jerry, and Rumple Teaser. So there's cats in the house, and they have a dog or a pollicle. And I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Also, there's sexual tension between Victoria and Mistopheles in this scene. Oh well, I never was there ever a cat so straight as magical Mr. Mistopheles. Hetero, 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 hetero. Jacob Brent, the man who played Mr. Mistopheles in the 98 version, went on record. I don't remember where I got this quote from, but I did screenshot it on my phone, where he was like, oh yeah, I wasn't really going for a gay with Mr. Mistopheles, but I guess pulling out a 20-foot sparkly rainbow thing from a bucket will do that. But also, like, do you really think this man is straight? Do you really think this man is straight? I don't think so, man. No.
Who are you?
Growl Tiger. I'm a Bravo cat. I travel along the bulge.
Low-key shout out to them for bringing back Growl Tiger. He wasn't in the 98 version, so work for bringing him back. I like that he's a hench cat for McCavity. That's pretty cool, except for the fact that if you know anything about cats lore, you know Growl Tiger within the universe isn't real. He's a character that Gus the theater cat played within a theatrical production. he once played Growl Tiger and he'd do it again. Yes, he'd do it again. So to make him his own real cat that is working for Macavity makes no sense. And they bring Growl Tiger, and they could have just left in his number as a playful thing after Asparagus' number, and they just don't. And it's sad. So much potential, so much flushing of the toilet.
Oh, it's mine.
What's that look Munkustrap is giving him?
Went wrong. You're just in time to see old Deuteronomy.
Munkustrap was concerned about her and her safety, but left her alone with Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer. Left her alone, period. She's new to all of this. She's new to the alleyways. She's new to all the cats. So, like, to leave her alone at all, I'd say, is a risk to her health and safety. But then also looking at the ring and being like, well, clearly she came back with Mr. Mistopheles, and you know that Twink is not getting himself into trouble anywhere, so assume she's safe. Especially, this is the same cat coming up to her being like, where have you been? Right after she was left with Macavity when she first got dropped out in a bag. Okay, but we about to meet old Deuteronomy. Judi Dench, or Queen Moody Bench. I like seeing her sides, fun fact. Oh, here we go! The Jellicle Ball!
The Jellicle Ball!
This right here! Look at Munkustrap go! Look at Munkustrap go! There's another scene, which I'll put it here. It's just him freaking going at it. He's doing a whole bunch of pirouettes in a row. And, like, they cannot use the excuse, oh, we didn't have Mr. Mistopheles' conjuring turn during his number, because no one could actually do 25 pirouettes, you know? One, it's because you only want A-listers as your main characters and all of that. So they made Munkustrap like an actual talented human being. And then Munkustrap is over here pirouetting after pirouette, so you guys did have the capabilities of making someone conjuring turn and just decided to make Mistopheles a bubbling fool. I need to look up who plays Munkustrap, because this man that I will Google after I'm done editing and put right here, is a talented freaking man and is putting all of his heart and soul into his performance in Cats 2019. Sir, I am so sorry. I am so sorry you have to live with this on your resume. I promise you, you did such a good job and you are so talented and so skilled, and all of your hard work is greatly appreciated. I'm sorry the movie made you seem like shit. You're not shit, I promise you. Good work. Good work. See, this is where the tail animation's like really good. The tails are freaking going at it. See, the dancing in this movie is actually really good and everyone's really talented if they'd actually show the dancing and not left it in the shadows and stuff. A lot of this number is like them cutting away the characters just sitting there. And it's like, no, show the phenomenal dancing. They're doing a great job. We just made it to memory, and I heard Jennifer Hudson is a good performer. This is the only thing I really know her from. Otherwise, I don't really know her. Oh, hold on, let me IMDb her. Looks like she was in Dreamgirls and Sing and On The Voice. And in Sing 2, oh, Hairspray. Oh my gosh, she was in the Paw Patrol Dino movie. Clearly we're working with an experienced actor. This part right here is how you know that this movie is fake. It's fake. Look, if Victoria goes out to reach for her, and she turns away. That is totally against everything we know about Grisabella's character. During memory, Grisabella sings "Touch Me, It's So Easy to Leave Me All Alone with the Memory of My Days in the Sun," or something like that. If you touch me, you'll understand what happiness is. Touching is so important in this show, and yes, I do understand how that sounds out of context. Go ahead, I don't care. Touching is so important within this show because it's how they show acceptance. They're kind of like a cult, but also they're just like a group if you don't believe they're a cult. Jellicles are their own group. And throughout, not so much in the movie because this movie does everything wrong, but in the 98 film, especially after like Jenny Anydot's number and stuff, they go around and they like pet their paws together like this to show acceptance. Like, yes, I'll touch you to let you know you're safe and accepted and you're loved. And so Grisabella all the time puts her arm behind her back like that so that she could be touched, and no one touches her because no one accepts her. Like, the kittens we see time and time again try to touch her and try to let her in, but no one lets her. So yeah, all of that to say, touching is important. also take that out of context. The problem here is Grizabella actively rejects Victoria's touch. Now, some may make the argument that technically Victoria is not a Jellicle yet, and Victoria does not become a Jellicle until the end of the movie, because Old Deuteronomy is like, you really are a Jellicle, and they like do a little nuzzle on top of the lion statue. But I think if I was Grizabella and I was that desperate, I would have took my chances and let her touch me. What's the worst that could happen? Like, seriously. I guess you can make the argument that if Victoria isn't a Jellicle, maybe by touching Grizabella, she is like dirtying herself, and the others will be like, oh, you touched Grizabella, you're not welcome here anymore. But also, they know that Victoria doesn't know anything about Grizabella or their like touching symbolism within their tribe, so like, why? Why? This is the second most frustrating part of the film. The first is coming, I promise you. It's coming.
Should I take chances when no one took chances on me?
Okay, this song was written by T. Swift and Andrew Lloyd Webber. Swift and Webber collabed. Never did I think I'd see the day, and yet here we are. This song is written fine. It's okay. It's Oscar bait, obviously, because they want the trophy for Best Original Song, which, no. Even ignoring the fact that it is a part of Cats 2019, there is also the glaring issue that this whole song is just Victoria going, you know, you may have it bad, but at least you had it good once. I'm just a baby and I was just thrown out and everything's horrible. At least you have beautiful ghosts. Yeah, no, that's victim blaming and that's fucking shit. And you're comparing traumas, Victoria, you fucking asshole. We'll talk more about Taylor Swift when we get to McCavity.
Nothing can go wrong.
And then as we focus on Gust, Mr. Mistopheles also nuzzles the wood, and I find that really cute. Of course, I don't like much about how Mr. Mistopheles' character is handled within this movie, but I do like his cute little mannerisms that I could see original Mistopheles doing. Like, if Gus says, for good luck I nuzzle the wood, Mistopheles would also nuzzle the wood afterwards. That's iconic, and I might write that into a fan fiction.
And scary.
Guys, it's coming, guys, it's coming. Here it comes. McCavity! There's a nostalgia critic video. McCavity! It's his catchphrase. I love it so much. McCavity! That was my ringtone for like 6 months. McCavity!
The next contestant is Skimbleshanks.
This is the best song in this movie. It's so good. I freaking love this number so much. It is so good, which is pretty weird to say for Cats 2019, but their changes, for the most part, are on par with the original show. Would I say it's an improvement? Not at all. They don't keep the energy the way they should, because there's something that they really love in this movie about interrupting the flow and pacing so nothing can truly build on itself. But no, this is great. I like how they have Munku Strap start off because a lot of his narrator roles were cut in the film because the cats sing their own songs. So there's a problem with that, the cats singing their own numbers. For the most part, there are cats that can get away with it, like Rum Tum Tugger, because he is naturally a bit more of himself and egotistical than other cats. But there is a level of respect that comes from other cats singing the cat song. They want to help each other. They want to see each other be the Jellicle choice. They want to show their respect for each other. So there's cats like Jenny Anydots, where Demeter, Jellicles, and Bombalurina and Munkustrap sing her number. Jenny Anydots sings Bustifer's number. We see the other cats, especially the ensemble, supporting numbers. Of course, we get the occasional solo, people sing in their own songs, but excluding the Cats movie, most of the time it's like other cats singing for cats. This song is immaculate. I think it's fantastic. A lot of the reason because they could keep time. Once again, Sideways goes into this in his video, but they don't have backing tracks, which is why in songs like The Naming of the Cats, they're all kind of off from each other and no one could sing at a consistent tempo, especially what's her name from Pitch Perfect and Gus the Theater Cat, and like, it's all wacky because at most they have a little clicker in their ear with a little headphone. But this one, it's a tap number, and they kept it a tap number, meaning that they stay on a consistent beat, not to mention the guy playing Skimbleshanks is hot. Yeah, and also I like that a part of his character design, they kept the big swirly mustache, and I feel like 98 Skimbleshanks would also look good with a mustache. No denying there.
The cavity's not there.
Okay, a few things. One, honestly, Taylor Swift does a good job of Bombalurina. Like, she's not half-assing it, she's playing it, probably the way the directors told her to. I don't like what the directors told her to do, though. See, a big fan theory, and if you'd like to skip anything content warning-wise about sexual assault or general talk of kidnapping and abuse, you could skip to this timestamp, because I will be talking about it. There is a common fan theory, and once again, I'm talking about this movie from a fan's perspective, so fan theory, it's like a common thing that the fans agree upon. I don't know why I'm over-explaining myself, but Bombalurina and Demeter are both victims of Macavity, and Demeter, in the original, starts out singing Macavity's song, followed by Bombalurina, and they do it mostly as a duet up until the end when all the females join in, because they all have the potential, if not all already have been victims of Macavity. It has been a common fan theory that Demeter was sexually assaulted by Macavity, since the song clearly states that he's broken every human law, and it is a pretty widespread human law that you're not supposed to use someone sexually without their permission, and so one can assume that he did that. And a lot of what Demeter does during Macavity, and also including the Macavity scares, is reminiscent of someone with trauma and PTSD and stuff like that. Especially this moment when she sways her head from side to side, along with what Macavity would do. Like, she's in it. She is gone. She's absolutely out of it. Bombalurina is not commonly seen as a victim because she doesn't show stereotypical traits of trauma and abuse, but I make the argument that she is, because she is super highly sexual with Rum Tum Tugger especially. She puts herself out there sexually, and she shows herself off as like a quote-unquote sex object. And just like on the side of Demeter, of probably like sex repulsed and the stereotypical trauma, there are other ways that the body reacts to trauma such as this, and hypersexuality is something common and just a result of abuse in this kind of way. And we see that through Bombalurina, whether that was the intention or not. And the movie confuses me because Bombalurina is not just someone affected by Macavity anymore, she works for Macavity. It was like one thing with Growl Tiger, because Growl Tiger was a fictional character, so I guess you could just throw him into a scenario, but to make someone from the original movie who was a victim of Macavity, a like partner, an active like partner of Macavity, no, that's crazy to me. I also want to point out that Munkustrap is like sitting there and not really doing anything. It's Mr. Mistopheles that drags Victoria off. And I don't know if at this point he is affected by the catnip, but like, I know the 98 Munkustrap would have done some shit by now. He does not take anything standing still. Speaking of catnip, I want to talk about the catnip because I think that the catnip is clever. Like I said, not a lot of positives about this movie. I like the catnip. In the original, Macavity is just this dude who breaks the law and is just randomly magical. Of course, we see magic from Mr. Mistopheles, but also he's the magical Mr. Mistopheles, and we could assume that. There's really nothing about Macavity that screams, oh yes, he's magical, he has powers, and it is just what the directors chose to do with him, like turning off the lights and how he's able to do things and pop around is because of this magic. And so in this one, they give him magic, but then also the catnip. And like the idea of the catnip is really good because it hypnotizes people, so he doesn't just like stun them for 2 seconds while he steals old dude like they did in the 98 one. They have like a reason to stay like drugged for long because of the catnip. That still doesn't explain why he has magic all the other times though, but also like he could have used the catnip every other time too. I don't know, they added this thing that had potential and then did nothing with it and just made the lore more convoluted. Oh yeah, and then right after, Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpelteazer help Bomballerina spread the catnip, which confirms in this version of the lore, Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpelteazer work for Macavity, which is like a speculated thing in the original, but out of all the fan theories to confirm, why this one? Also, if they're working for Macavity, why are they still allowed in the Jellicle tribe? Because if all Grisabella did was go off with Macavity, like there's no evidence of Grisabella doing anything bad, all she did was go off with Macavity and she's completely banned, and here is Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpelteazer actively helping drug the Jellicle tribe, and they're just allowed to F around with them? Unless earlier, the reason that they're so separated is because they're not allowed, but then why do we see Rumpelteazer in the group of people worshipping Old Deuteronomy? So like, or is this their first time interacting with Macavity and making it known that they work for Macavity? But even then, we don't have evidence to support that. So it's like, what? The lore?
Sheets. Let go. And
Oh, Taylor Swift gets high heels and no one else gets any footwear whatsoever. She was like, no, my feet are too expensive. Put some shoes on me. That's crazy.
I might mention Mungo Jerry, Rumpelteazer, Griddlebone.
Who is over here saying in this universe that Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpelteazer are the cats with the most wicked deeds widely known? They like break vases in this universe. They don't even steal shit like that. Okay, multiple questions. One, the song says that he's a ginger cat. That's not ginger, that's brown. Secondly, that looks like a naked man, and that's scary. Thirdly, the song talks about how his fur is like matted and dirty and his whiskers are uncombed, and he doesn't have any proof of that because that's not fur, that's like lightly fluffy skin. And I wish they made him any more fluffy so that they could make him, hey, look ungroomed. I wish any of these cats had more fur on them. Please, I'm scared.
Yes!
Munkustrap!
The time has come to make the Jellicle choice.
Okay, I actually loved that. There was a little clip of Munkustrap fighting for his life, which is so Munkustrap. That is in character. Thank you, movie, for the one in character Munkustrap moment.
He's got soul.
I've got plenty of soul.
You're a cheat, Macavity.
See, despite Macavity being phrased as the threat that he is in the original, it really does not feel like it, because in no world would Old Deuteronomy just stand there and lecture Macavity. in the original production. Because you see, Macavity is a force not to be reckoned with, because he's scary and deadly and could cause irreparable harm. And in no world of Macavity being a real threat would Macavity just let old Deuteronomy just stand there and go, well, I don't think so, actually, because I don't think you should. Old Deuteronomy would try running, or maybe even beating him up herself, as fruitless as that effort would be. Of course, the other cats can't do anything, they're all drugged, they can't get off the floor. But old Deuteronomy is not drugged, and she's just there. And she does this much amount of things. Whoops, she's kidnapped. Yeah, that's her fault. Of course she was gonna get kidnapped either way, because that's how the plot and story goes. But like, ugh, I hate this movie.
Now, Tiger, they go walk the plank.
What's that gonna do? Say old Deuteronomy sticks to her guns and doesn't give in, and Macavity and Growl Tiger make her walk the plank. So if she dies, you still don't get to go to the Heaviside lair, because the person who's gonna take you there died. Unless he has the mentality of, if I do have to kill old Doot to get what I want, then her predecessor will give it to me. But unlike the original, where Meow-sacre is at the forefront of a lot of things, there's not a whole lot of proof in this movie that Meow-sacre is the predecessor to old Deuteronomy for the next Jellicle leader. And even then, it's not really confirmed in the original either. It's just, there's so much evidence there that that's the natural conclusion, because, you know, old Deuteronomy is, hey, old Deuteronomy, and so it's presumed that he's gonna die soon because he's old. And hey, the dude who played old Deuteronomy in the 98 version lasted another 26 years. Haha, haha, R.I.P. Anyway, I don't know what Macavity's plan here is if he actually goes through with killing old dude. Meow-sacre!
Where is old Deuteronomy? Where is she?
Okay, you
We don't
bitches.
know. Where
Yeah,
is she?
get
It was
it!
only a
Get
bit of
Meow-sacre!
We didn't know he was going to take old Jute.
Oh, fuck.
There must be something we can do.
We can't just magic her back.
Yes, we can.
Okay, Cassandra. Okay, so that one's Cassandra in this version.
Yes, we can. You're a magician.
What? It's not a bad idea. Might be worth a try. Really? I can't.
Could try.
Yes, you could. Okay, so there are several things wrong with this, but I do have some thoughts to talk about in order. Firstly, Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpleteazer are like, we didn't know that he was going to take old Doot. So, a couple things. One, do they work for Macavity? Like, what did they think they were doing when they were catnipping everyone? Because they were dancing along with Bomb Ballerina, and they themselves didn't have to get catnipped to work for him. They did that willingly and danced with the song and sang the song, and were not drugged. So, like, are they working for Macavity or are they not? And if they are, then why are they surprised that old Deuteronomy was taken? And if they aren't, then why did they help drug everyone? What is the lore with Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpleteazer here? Secondly, oh my god, Meow-sacre. There is no version of him that isn't phenomenal. And this actor is no exception. I like how he's like, old dude, immediately when he snaps back into it, which apparently the catnip only works when Macavity's in vicinity, because the moment they left, they were uncatnipped. Collectively, no matter how much each of them was drugged, for how long, they're all just undrugged at the same time. So, I guess the catnip stops working like Bluetooth. Also, we're going into Mr. Mistopheles, and I hate this number because it stops and starts and nothing builds up. Mr. Mistopheles is incompetent. He tries the spell over and over again and it doesn't work like 17 times. And he does nothing else to prove himself. He doesn't dance, he doesn't make lightning, he doesn't twirl like he does in the 98 version. He just sits there and he goes, and then nothing happens, which is stupid. And it's not even like the 98 version when Mr. Mistopheles was doing like sprinkles of magic throughout the show to show his abilities. This dude has just been a bumbling card trick idiot for the duration. And now they're like, oh yeah, you could like magic an entire cat back, right? You could just do that? Magic back an entire being? Yeah, go right ahead. And like, their worry is old Deuteronomy, and of course old Deuteronomy is like their prophet who gets to choose who dies and has a new life, and so old Deuteronomy is a very, very important figure, but none of them showed any concern for any of the other cats disappearing. Bustifer, Jenny Anydots, Gus, Skimble, they watch Skimble leave. And of course that's when they're like, gasp, and I do realize that the other ones kind of disappeared when they weren't looking, but you're telling me Jenny Anydots disappeared in the beginning of the show and no one realized that she was gone until old Dude was kidnapped? Like, no one questioned Jenny Anydots just disappearing? Really? Also, the fact that Rum Tum Tugger doesn't help encourage Mistopheles because heterosexual cats, which is stupid. Rum Tum Tugger singing for someone is a highest honor in this show because Rum Tum Tugger is really self-centered and self-absorbent, and so he sings his own song to show his importance to himself. But we also get to see the importance of other things if Rum Tum Tugger decides to dedicate his energy and time towards it. Like, there is no verse 2 of Old Deuteronomy in this movie, but there is a verse 2 to Old Deuteronomy in the 98 version that Rum Tum Tugger sings. And that's the self-centered prick dedicating his energy to something, showing its importance. And Rum Tum Tugger also sings the entirety of Mr. Mistopheles, showing Mistopheles' importance. Mistopheles' importance, however you say Mistopheles plural. Tugger shows Mistopheles' importance. And this time it's Victoria, but also, for this one they're grasping at straws. Before, it's like we have to find old Deuteronomy, and then they're distracted by Tugger and they're calmed down by Tugger before giving their solution. In this version, they're like panicking, like, what should we do? And Victoria's like, Mistopheles has magic. Like, you guys had no prerequisites to assume that he could conjure an entire person. He could barely do a card trick before. And all of a sudden you guys are like, yeah, teleport. Do it. I mean, I guess that's all they have left, but also like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
The greatest magicians have something to learn.
They want to talk about Rum Tum Tugger getting his balls chopped off, Rebel Wilson, but no one's talking about how Mr. Mistopheles literally has no balls, and he is a bumbling mess.
Oh, well, I never was there ever. A cat is so clever. This magical Mr. Mistopheles.
I mean this unsexually in this context, but Mokustrap is so daddy. Feel free to take that out of context too, but like, despite Mistopheles being a bumbling idiot in this version, Mokustrap is being so encouraging and so like compassionate and caring towards him, especially right after his, I was gonna say his dad, but like, old Deuteronomy's a girl in this one, so is old Dude Monk's mom fandom, or is she just a prophet that Mokustrap also worships? Either way, I think Mokustrap is being very good and nice, and I appreciate the kindness he is putting forth towards Mr. Mistopheles, even if he is being a fucking bitch.
I can play any trick with a
Munkustrap's face there was crazy.
fish paste. If you look for a knife or a fork, and you think it is merely misplaced.
Firstly, the human hands are so creepy. Secondly, I want to get into another popular fan theory, and that is Mr. Mistopheles is on the spectrum, more specifically on the autism spectrum, and that is something commonly associated amongst the fandom as something that's decently canon, because it's cats, and so headcanons are canon a lot of the times, because the canon here is about as bendy as rubber. I agree with this theory. We also see throughout the show a good indicator that Mr. Mistopheles has autism, according to the fandom, is his nonverbal nature. He doesn't really talk, he doesn't really speak, he communicates a lot through his body, which is why he's also a dancer. There are, like, I could count on my hands the amount of times he talks in the show, which is like his line in the intro when he sings Jellicle cats come out tonight, when he calls Tugger a terrible bore, and then he says presto. Yeah, that's it. He doesn't even talk at the end of his number. He doesn't talk when old Deuteronomy comes back, just greets him. All he says throughout his entire number is presto in the 98 version. There is a version on the 83 soundtrack where Mr. Mistopheles sings the second verse of his song and sings it in a first POV. And a lot of people don't like this because it is like Mr. Mistopheles doesn't sing for himself. He's a shy boy and a dancer, and also autism and stuff. And so to see a version of Mr. Mistopheles where he sings the entire song himself, it breaks my heart a bit, because it kind of just makes... Because, like, if he was silent and Munkustrap and Victoria sung the song for him in this context, at least it'd be like he's being encouraged and he's shy and he has to focus on his magic and he can't sing for himself. But him singing for himself and bragging about himself while actively failing for 7 minutes, it's pathetic. That's the only word that could describe it. It's pathetic. Oh my gosh, hold on, I just realized that Tugger goes up and sings a high note above everyone else, like he would in the original, except in the original it's a whole solo, but they just gave Tugger the one, like, high part of the ensemble by himself. That's so silly. Oh, so now he's dancing. Also with Victoria. More things to bring up. It is a common fan speculation that Mistopheles and Victoria are siblings, and not to say that they can't date, because this is Cats, where the entire tribe has an orgy during the dance scene. Like, clearly this is incestuous. We're not shying away from it here. They're cats. No one gives a shit. But also, they're pushing this ship so that people will not ship Tugger and Mistopheles in this movie, and it's annoying. Heterosexual cats. But also, I do want to say it's really cute the way they have Mistopheles, like, levitate everything and create a band and stuff, and this makes the audience think that he had the abilities to bring back Old Dude the whole time, and it was just his confidence that was the problem, because now that he had the confidence of bringing back Old Dude, he's able to levitate all this stuff and spawn all these flowers and make himself float, which is all really cool and fine and dandy, except it's stupid. It's really stupid, and all of this is stupid. Why are they about to kiss, though? Oh, I actually like that. Jenny Anydots. Earlier, she was, like, skinned to show her, like, new dance outfit within her number, which is, like, a replacement in the original, because she's shown as a chubby tabby cat during the day, and then that is contrary to her night outfit, where she's sprightly and slimmer and tapping all around. And so those are the two different outfits from the original. In this one, she has her, like, regular fur, which she strips to show her dancing fur, which just kind of seems nonsensical and stupid in the moment, and trust me, it still is. But I liked what they did there and made it a buffer so that she could slip out of the chains. They Chekhov's gunned her suit, and I hate that that's a sentence I had to say, but also, good on cats. Here comes more bullshit! Look at Victoria. She goes up to Grisabella, grabs her hand, nuzzles her entire body up against her. Seeing Mokustrap with tears in his eyes is crushing me. And look it, she helps her up. They're holding paws. They're already touching. And here she is. She's gonna be like, touch me. Hey, Grisabella, I don't know if you noticed, but she's touched you multiple times. Why are you still asking that? That is asked in the original because no one has touched Grisabella yet. Victoria has both offered to touch Grisabella and has actively touched Grisabella multiple times before this moment. Why are you asking to be touched? You've been touched already. And sure, like I said the argument earlier, Victoria isn't a Jellicle yet, so her touching Grisabella doesn't count. It was Victoria who suggested they use Mr. Mistopheles to get old Dude back. They made sure to protect Victoria from the cavity. They have been interacting with Victoria and telling her all about their culture and their ways. I don't know. I know that at the end, old Deuteronomy is like, you truly are a Jellicle cat, and like officially accepts her, but like clearly they have to in some way accept her into the tribe if they're letting her partake in the Jellicle ball and be there to witness the Jellicle choice. So like, I'm tired. I'm so tired. Okay, shattered ceiling. You're gonna get there anyway, McCavity. Oh, never mind, you're still alive. I want to know how this works. Firstly, the ceiling has no roof to it. Shouldn't everything in that building be like water damaged? I imagine it rains. I mean, this takes place in Hey London. Secondly, the hot air balloon. Would humans not notice a giant hot air balloon made out of junk going through the air? I guess if this is an accurate size for a cat, this would be the size of, like, maybe, like, the tire of a tractor or a monster truck. But even then, someone would notice it. It's super shiny, and it's made out of a broken chandelier. Also, do they have to remake that hot air balloon every year? Because in the 98 version, it's just a paw that comes down from the sky. In this version, they have a hot air balloon. Do they just have to make a hot air balloon every year? The Jellicle Ball is a yearly thing. Good lord.
You should need no interpreter.
I love this entire sequence with Judi Dench because Victoria and Mistopheles are there because they were established within the movie as like main characters. They're like, yeah, we made Victoria the main character and Mr. Mistopheles the love interest. And also he saved old Dude, and that's why they're with her. Except this movie has not really established Mokustrap as like the protector or their narrator as much as the show did. And so like, as a viewer, I don't know why Mokustrap is just up there with old Dude. Like, yeah, chose a random cat to sit with her. Also, Mokustrap is looking at her like she's high the entire time, and I find that so fucking funny. This is so fucking funny. I am so glad we're at the end of the movie. I'm so done with this. And they scatter. Oh no, stop nuzzling, ew, ew. Not my Mistopheles, not my Mistopheles, not my Mistopheles.
I believe you truly are a Jellicle cat. A Jellicle cat.
hold on, go back. I didn't even realize this the first time I watched it. A Jellicles cat?
A Jellicles cat.
A Jellicles cat. D-E-A-R-L-I-C-C-L-E. Jellicles. I'm guessing that that's like her label, like Mistopheles the magic cat, Rum Tum Tugger the curious cat. What the fuck is a Jellicles cat? Are you just saying that she's someone to hold dear? Can I Google this? Huzzah, I can Google it. I Googled Jellicles meaning, and I got including results for Jellicles meaning. Like, they autocorrected to Jellicles, not entirely, but like, did you mean Jellicles? It says, probably because my Google knows I like cats, and the AI overview states the term Jellicles is likely a creative spelling or a mispronunciation of dear little. It's famously linked to the word Jellicle from T.S. Eliot's poem Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. And then it breaks down Pollicle dogs and Jellicles cats, and how Jellicles is a playful, like, mispronunciation of dear little cats. Jellicles, like dear little, and so dear little probably comes from mispronunciation of dear little or Jellicle. So yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Tom Hooper. So now that we're at the end of this, there is something I must confess. There was a point in time where I liked the movie. If you know me, if this isn't your first time watching my videos, you sadly might already know this. I was introduced to Cats as a musical through the movie. In February of 2024, I went to go hate watch it because I just got Netflix at the time, and I was bored, and I was like, people talk about how bad this is, I'm gonna watch it. And then I watched it, and I was 17 at the time, but I absolutely fell in love with it, and that's the only thing I watched for a month and a half straight. And then finally I was like, oh, there's a recording, like a professional pro shot of the stage production. Let me watch that. And after finishing that one watch through, I suddenly realized every single flaw to ever exist with the Cats 2019 movie. And I would like to apologize for anyone who had to interact with me when I was obsessed with the movie version. But with that being said, it's about cats. Except Tom Hooper didn't get why cats worked at all. It's simple, but it has layers. Like a salad. Like, you know, there's lettuce and carrots and the purple stringed things, and sometimes you put on croutons and ranch and bacon bits. And it's just a simple salad, but there are so many things that go into it, and a lot of those things were misconstrued in this version. Like, the croutons are little cookie bites for some reason, and the little purple vegetable strings are like Twizzlers. And like, it looks correct, but when you take a bite, it doesn't taste right. And we've already gone over all my problems with this show. That's what the last hour of this video was. So there's not really much more I could add, except for I really hope that this isn't the last of Cats in film, because since this movie has come out alone, we have seen so many cool interpretations of cats. Like, the different versions of cats have become popular on the internet. It started with the Jellicle ballroom cats in Pack NYC, but we've also seen circus cats and Texan Southern cats. And we are continuing to see more creative versions of cats. And we are also still seeing the original vision for cats in productions. And there is still so much potential for the show if it is not directed by Tom Hooper. There was plans for a cartoon Cats, and that could have worked. It had some really creative designs. Even still going the live action route, there is still potential. It's probably not going to be touched again for a long time because of this version being so bad and also so recent. But if we could get a live action Moana when Moana came out less than 10 years ago, so why can't we try again with cats? I promise you, give it to the correct director who understands musical theater and the point of cats and how to adapt musical theater correctly to film. Talk to whoever made Wicked, I guess, since people seem to like that. We could have a hit on our hands with Cats. It was a phenomenal ground-shaking thing back in the 80s, and I don't doubt that it could do that again. Well, I've taken up enough of your time, so with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you like cats. I have some cat stuff planned for the future. And, much like Mr. Mistopheles trying to have a singular ball, do your best.
I'd rather have grouse.